Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's good to be back. It's good to be back live. I hope you're all doing well because we've got lots to talk about this morning. Updates on Cristiano Ronaldo and the relationship with Erik ten Hag and how that's going to move forward. And also my reaction to the comments from Eric Bailly that came out yesterday. I know Beth spoke about them last night, but a lot of people have said, well, what's your thoughts on it? Eric Bailly basically coming out and talking about favouritism. Interesting reactions out there. We've had Jamie Carragher talking about it. We've had Manchester United fans calling Bailly the snake and all sorts like that. I just think sometimes people can't put emotion to the side and analyse what's been said. I mean, it's sort of, I think it's sad that people are now... I never heard people call Eric Bailly the snake or the issue when he was at the club, but now because we're winning and he's left, Eric Bailly's the snake with some people. I think it's just flippant and almost bordering on idiotic. But we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. And of course, we've got Erik ten Hag's press conference today ahead of Real Sociedad tomorrow. We did the preview yesterday. You can check that out. Obviously, most of what we said about that preview was spot on and is coming out in the media now. There will be a raft of changes. You can expect Ronaldo and Casemiro to start as we predicted. Probably Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Fred and others. So lots of changes, which I think is important considering that we've got that big game against Crystal Palace on Sunday and they've got all the whole week off. We need to give some of our players a bit of a rest as well. In fact, we're hoping to get... We're actually at the press conference today. We're hoping to get a good... Well, we'll see if they let us ask a question, but got a good question to ask Erik ten Hag about... the Premier League and how he's finding it. But we'll see if we get that a little bit later. Watch out for that on the channel. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. But it's good to be back. I was in Manchester yesterday morning. We did the morning show with Adam and it was torrential rain. So it's nice to be back in the studio. But always nice to be up in Manchester. I was in Manchester town last night. Australasia. Shout out to that. Lovely restaurant. It was raining, but it was nice. I like being around Deansgate and in Manchester city centre. It's been a few years since I've been in there, so I loved it. Brilliant, fancy. Okay, let's get on with the show. And yeah, let's start. Let's start off with Ronaldo because Ten Hag's Ronaldo decision, etc. This is coming in from Fabrizio Romano, and it's quite interesting this because obviously we had Fabrizio on the show on Monday, and he spoke to us about Cristiano Ronaldo, and he said this to us anyway. He said it's true that Ronaldo missed a lot of pre-season, and while this was primarily for personal reasons, it's also that his agent George Modes spoke to several clubs about a possible deal. Well, we had Fabrizio on the show on Monday and he admitted that. But in the same article, he goes on to say that United know that Erik ten Hag wants to involve Cristiano more and more in the coming weeks. As for his future, we'll have to wait and see for that. And I think that's basically where we are with the Ronaldo situation. Look, I'm a massive fan of Cristiano Ronaldo, but now the transfer window's closed, I can sort of say what I want to say, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same as me. It got to the point where I wouldn't have been that bothered if he'd left, if it had suited Manchester United and it had suited him. I always wanted him to stay because, for me, he's one of the best strikers in the world. And I think that, just on that for a moment, people are just so flippant in their opinion. Like, Erling Haaland is suddenly the best striker in the world, and I'm like, I don't think he's the best striker in the Premier League. And I say it with a straight face. And I don't need to bring Ronaldo into this. Harry Kane has got 188 Premier League goals. And he's done it for Spurs. Now, do I think Erling Haaland will be better than Harry Kane? Probably. But do I think he's better than Harry Kane at the moment because he's scored 10 goals in a few games for Man City? No, I don't. I don't think he's a better striker than Harry Kane at the moment. And I think that there is a bit of a... We see it every day on TalkSport and Sky and everywhere like that. It's, there's so many people giving so many opinions, and it's obvious to say that Erling Haaland is the best informed striker in the Premier League at the moment. But I don't think he's the best striker in the Premier League at the moment. I think if he wants to be the best striker in the Premier League, he's got to do it for 2 or 3 years, which he's more than capable of doing. But it's like handing Man City the Premier League title now. They probably will win it, but they might not. And I think that Harry Kane is the best striker in the Premier League. I think he's proven it year after year after year after year. And I think it's amazing the amount of goals he's scored in a Spurs side that's not been very good. It's never won anything. And it's also what Harry Kane does that Erling Haaland doesn't do is his creativity in the last 2 or 3 years is immense. His passing, his link-up play. So, Erling Haaland will be the best striker in the world. I think that's very obvious. And he is the best striker in the Premier League at the moment. But I don't think he's the best striker overall in the Premier League because I think you've got to earn that. People like Harry Kane have done that. And why are you mentioning that? Because Cristiano Ronaldo scored 18 goals in the Premier League last year and won our Player of the Year. And he can be in that conversation. He can be one of the best strikers in the Premier League. I think people are sleeping on it. I don't think Erik ten Hag's sleeping on it. I don't think a lot of you are sleeping on it. But if we can get Ronaldo back into that team, fully fit and firing, then he will be one of the best strikers in the Premier League again. Absolutely no doubt about it. And in the short term, I think this is what Erik ten Hag is building towards. But we're probably not right there yet. And I think it's about, it's about wait for it, basically. Wait for it, be patient, because your opportunity will come. And when it does come, what's your mindset for it? And as we've heard from many people, the mindset of Cristiano Ronaldo is very positive at the moment. It maybe wasn't 2 or 3 weeks ago. Clearly would have liked to move, didn't happen. And I think these next few weeks are about getting Ronaldo a start tomorrow night, seeing how he responds to that. And then when he starts scoring the goals, I think you've got to find a place for him. And it's the same with Casemiro as well. McTominay deserves to hold that place at the moment. I never thought I'd be saying those words, but he does. But Casemiro's the better player. And it's a bit like Rashford through the middle. He deserves to hold his place in the team at the moment. But when Martial's back and Ronaldo's back, they are better number 9s than him. But he's in possession of the shirt. And I applaud Erik ten Hag for that. Am I the only one who notices that the bench players and the starting lineup train in different sessions? Literally horrifies me. I hope the situation will change. Ronaldo must start in the next 4 games, says Zinedine Zidane. Why is no one talking about Rashford's hamstring injury? Will be out for 3 or 4 weeks? Mark my words, says Afghan. I don't know. I've not heard anything about that, and obviously we would hope to get a bit of an update on the injuries in the press conference today. I mean, it's one thing that you do need to bear in mind. Marcus Rashford has had injury issues over the last couple of years, and I think he's probably going to pick up an injury at some point, but hopefully not at the moment, because we don't want injuries. We want Martial back and we want competition for places. I usually agree with 80% of what you say, but there's no way on earth Kane is better than Haaland. That's ridiculous, says it's Prims. It may, but look, I don't want... This is the United stand and we want to talk about the United stand, but the cold, harsh fact is that... apparently Tuchel's been sacked, but I actually did call that. Tuchel's been sacked, says Charlie Webb. Well, we're the United stand, we're not the Chelsea stand, but I did say that I feared that Thomas Tuchel may well get the sack from... well, I don't know whether that's gone. Is that true? Where's this coming from? Oh no, it's coming from David Ornstein, so it's pretty true. Breaking: Chelsea have parted company with manager Thomas Tuchel. I did say that. I did say it at the start of the season that new manager, new owner means new manager. So that's I think that's too soon. Wouldn't surprise me if Tuchel went. So Pochettino next. Way too soon. I think that's way too soon to sack a manager, by the way. Way too soon. But anyway, that's Chelsea's problem. I'll do a video on that on That's Football after this. But in relation to Manchester United, look, it's all about opinion. It's all about opinion. I don't know why people can't get that, but who is the better Premier League striker, is what I said. Harry Kane or Erling Haaland? In my opinion, Harry Kane is the better Premier League striker because he's proven it year after year after year, and his all-round game is better. Erling Haaland can't pass the ball like Harry Kane. He can't hold the ball up like Harry Kane. Harry Kane is unbelievable at assists, and he's a fantastic goal scorer as well. So, look, you can consume your football however you want to consume your football. I'll consume my football how I want to consume my football. And I think Erling Haaland is a fantastic striker, and he's definitely the in-form striker in Europe at the moment. But you don't become the Premier League best striker after 6 games. You don't. What if he doesn't score a goal for the next 10 games or he gets a bad injury? You know, people just... It's like every January, whoever's top of the league, Gary Lineker will sit on Match of the Day and say, this is the best Premier League side I've ever seen. And then they don't win the league. It's like... Longevity is important. Longevity is important. And I suppose you can bring it back to Manchester United. There are people who think Martial's a better striker than Ronaldo. People think Martial's a better starter for United than Ronaldo at the moment. I think that's even worse than the Kane-Haaland argument. I mean, hold on a minute. Anthony Martial's done fuck all for 2 years. I like Martial, by the way. I really like Martial. I want him to be fit. But he's done nothing for United in 2 years. He scored a few goals in pre-season. He's been fit for one game out of the first 6. And he's a better striker than Ronaldo, who was player of the year and got 18 goals. It doesn't make sense, does it? Doesn't mean you're wrong if you think Martial's better than Ronaldo, but it's not a landslide, is it? Really. So look, I think with Cristiano Ronaldo, Casemiro, very similar situation at the moment. You can't drop McTominay for Casemiro. You can't drop Rashford or whoever for Ronaldo at the moment. Logically, they're better players, but Ten Hag has justified not starting them. They're going to have to wait and they're going to have to be patient. But long term, the quality of a Ronaldo and a Ten Hag and a Casemiro will usurp McTominay and Rashford or whoever it is, unless they become world class consistently, in which case we're in a very good situation, although it's probably not going to happen. So yeah, I think where we're at with Ronaldo now is a sense of calm. Long term, he might go in January. He might still find a Champions League club in January. But to do that, he's going to have to score goals for United. So we've got this period of calm now where really it's about getting game time for Ronaldo, seeing what he's all about. Can he start scoring goals again? Can he become our best outlet for goals again? And then getting him into the first team. And I think that's what it's all about. Didn't Erik ten Hag get us 4 wins with his preferred lineup? Why some of the fans are still on about he must play this or that? I don't understand. The logics are spaced out. But this is not his best team, that's why. It's his best team at the moment, but it's not his best team. You can't logically think that picking McTominay over Casemiro for the rest of the season and benching a player that's on 300 and something grand a week and is one of the best CDMs in the world, that's what people are talking about. It's just general football conversation. I mean, the buzz around United at the moment is so good. There's so many people really happy. I'm very happy and it's great. But the football conversation isn't we're happy when we walk away. The football conversation now is like we're playing really well, but Tomley's doing well in the midfield. Casemiro's on the bench. How's that going to work out? Oh, I can't wait to see how that's going to work out. Ronaldo's on the bench. Martial's going to come back. How's that going to work out? If someone plays well tomorrow night and takes their chance, they're going to be knocking on the door of the team. So, Sociedad tomorrow night's a really hard game, but we're going to play a lot of the reserve players or the players that haven't had a chance. If they perform well, it puts pressure on the first team, which is what you want to see. You're considered a top striker after 20 goals in a Premier League season usually. He's on 10 after 6. His off-the-ball movement at his age is remarkable, says it's Primesy. I still don't think his link-up play is very good. Looking at our fixtures, when do you think the winning streak ends? And will we be back to dressing room leaks and a toxic culture, says Salim. I think that Erik ten Hag has made it very, very clear that he's just wanting to take it one game at a time, and I'm certainly of that stance at the moment. But the run for Manchester United could end very, very quickly. Crystal Palace is a difficult game on Sunday. Leeds at home after that, and then we've got Man City away. So at some point in the next 3 games, you probably wouldn't be wrong if you predicted that we're going to drop a point, or 2, or 3. Crystal Palace and Man City away are difficult games for us. And I think that Ten Hag's always been very consistent that you have to win every game as a United manager, and you take it every game as it comes. And it's just very exciting with United at the moment. There's a long, long way to go. The process, whatever you want to call it, our possession level is low. It's around 50-50. Sometimes it's lower than that. He wants that to go up by at least 50%. He wants to be 50% on 50%. So 50% at 50%, it's 25%. You go up to about 70%, don't you? So there's a lot of improvement for United. To improve your possession stats by 20% is huge. That's a lot of domination of the ball, but that's the journey we're going to go on. So we are right on the bottom. If United's journey to the top is a ladder and there's 20 steps on that ladder, we're only on step 1 at the moment. Even though we've won the last 4 games, we've done it in a way that's not really what Ten Hag's all about. So very, very exciting. But people talking about winning streaks, we grinded a result against a very bad Leicester side that conceded 5 to Brighton, and we only scored 1, and we didn't really create many chances, but they didn't either. Same against Southampton, and we gave up possession against Liverpool and won, and we gave up possession against Arsenal and won. The next steps for us are starting to create more chances and having more possession, and we don't know how that's going to work, because to do that, do you make yourself a little bit weaker at the back? The balance that Ten Hag's got at the moment is he's sorted the defence out. We're not conceding goals, and we're scoring goals, 1 or 2 or 3 on these moments of good possession that we have. He wants to have more possession, but will that hinder his back 4? And it's that balance, it's the scales of Ten Hag's progression. It's almost like pushing the envelope a little bit. At the moment, we're winning games. the balance is good between defence and attack, but we're not having as much possession as he wants. As he starts for more possession, does the defence get weaker, or can he bring it up with him? And he's got to do it step by step. Martial has been complete tool of a player for the last couple of years. Cannot fathom how anyone thinks he's better than Ronaldo, says Icky. I love Martial. He's one of my favourite players. I really want him back fit. But I don't think he's better than Cristiano Ronaldo if we can get Ronaldo back to what he was doing last year. Genuinely think we're going to need 2 strikers, one in January and one in the summer. Martial's broken and Ronaldo is ageing and likely to go, says Joshua. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I still think Ronaldo will leave Manchester United next summer, maybe in January, but the stability that we have until Christmas and everybody's working towards the World Cup, at least we've got that calmness now to just go with what we've got. There'll be a lot of players asking to go in January. If Donny van de Beek doesn't get more game time in the next few weeks, he's going to go in January, and there's a couple of other players as well. And it goes back to that rung on the ladder. The way that we're playing is the most important thing. I'm loving this time where it's just all about the games at the moment, but also it's not just about that, is it? It's about other things as well. It's about how Manchester United are going to work in the transfer window. We've still got people like Phil Jones, Brandon Williams, Twan Sebi who are not training with the first team, and there's all these rumours around. There's still a lot of work to do. Next summer's got to be like this summer, and we've got to clear out more as well. We're not ready yet to do whatever people think we're capable of doing. I'm excited, I'm happy, but it's going to be a roller coaster. There will be another Brentford, of course there will, because there's still so much work to do. If last season was our worst season ever, this season's not going to be our best season ever, because that's miracle time. That's Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, bloody Gandalf, everybody's here with their magic. That's not going to happen. You can't have all those problems. You can't have a bloody building site of problems and then a cathedral of positivity within 3 months. Ten Hag can't do that. He's not Jesus. He's got to be given time, but at the moment it's exciting, and I'm going to enjoy the journey. Hopefully, people say Haaland will smash all pre-records. He won't be here long enough. He won't smash the Premier League record. Dazzo, you're absolutely right. He won't be in the Premier League in 4 years' time. Sheraz says, since we're talking possession, I'll accept McTominay should start when we dominate teams for 90 minutes. We take the lead and then can't keep the ball, says Sharath Math Fitness. And great show again, but the best players don't always make the best team. Look at the Galacticos, says it's Prims. Yeah, 100%. And that is why at the moment Ten Hag is justified and correct to pick McTominay over Casemiro, because at the moment that's a winning team and it's still winning. So, Casemiro will come into that team. Casemiro is better than McTominay, but at the moment you can't argue with the team that's being picked. I don't understand. Ronaldo is good this season and he wants to stay, and where will be the Champions League? They will not renew his contract. They will just kick him out, says Zinedine Zidane. I don't think Ronaldo will care. I'm going to do a video on Tuchel on That's Football at 10:30. Well, probably a bit later than 10:30, but I'll do a live video straight after on That's Football. But what I want to talk about here is, please smash a like on the video and subscribe. You may have seen these comments yesterday coming out from Eric Bailly, and I know Beth spoke about them yesterday, but I was out in Manchester last night, so I couldn't do the show. The favouring of English players doesn't happen at Chelsea or other Premier League clubs. Some people take it for granted they're going to start, and that weakens the team. The club, Man United, should avoid favouring English players and give everyone a chance. The club should encourage competition in the dressing room. I always had the impression that the English players were favoured. Now, this came out yesterday, and I think some people took it on quite well, and I think some people took it really badly. I've never seen Eric Bailly get slagged off or slated by the United fan base before until yesterday, because he's not at the club anymore and now he's the snake. I've said this so many times. People want to pin the dressing room leaks on one or two people, and at the moment it's Pogba and Bailly and Lingard and maybe Henderson. I'm telling you now, it's way more than that, and some of the leaks are still in that dressing room. They may stop leaking now. In fact, they pretty much have, but they were all at it. Well, they weren't all at it, but there was. If you want to know how many leaks there were in a Manchester United dressing room last season, if you think it's Pogba, Bailly, Henderson, and Lingard, that's 4 leaks, yeah, right. So look at the bottom of a dinghy and imagine 4 leaks, 4 holes, right? Now, you're wrong. There was way more than 4 leaks. How many leaks were there? Imagine a hedgehog rave in that lilo where they're all jumping up and down, and imagine the amount of holes. There was bloody loads of leaks from Manchester United last season. Absolutely loads. So whether Eric Bailly was a leak last year or not, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but to start coming out with some of the abuse that he got yesterday is just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, because he's not the only person that had issues last season, and Eric Bailly leaving doesn't mean that those potential issues aren't there. So I didn't like the toxicity. I didn't like what Jamie Carragher said as well, that Eric Bailly is always injured, and when he plays, he's crap, or words to that effect. I even quote tweeted him. I don't know why Carragher can't keep Man United out his mouth. He needs to spit it out, really. But the reality is that there is absolutely nothing correct about Jamie Carragher's comments about Eric Bailly if he's watched Manchester United recently. The fact is, he was injury prone, and he may still well be injury prone. But to be fair to Eric Bailly, for the last year, it might even be 18 months. For the last 18 months, he's not really been injured that much. Secondly to that, one of the big frustrations about Eric Bailly was that when he did play, he would play well and then he would get dropped. I remember 2 games against Chelsea when he came in. One was when Lindelof was injured away at Stamford Bridge. He played at centre-back. He was man of the match. And then the next game, we were playing someone like West Brom at home and he gets dropped straight away. And you know what? Eric Bailly has a fantastic point. What he's saying there is actually correct. And many of us used to say it. He'd play one game, he'd play really well, and then he'd be dropped again. Now, that's potentially a manager's preference. But you can understand his frustration because what's happening now is McTominay is playing well and he's keeping Casemiro on the bench. If that was Bailly, he would be dropped for Casemiro even if he played well. And that's what he's trying to say, is that there was a lot of frustration in his time at Man United because when he did play, he'd play well and then he'd be dropped no matter what happened. Whereas certain players, and we saw it last year with certain players like Lindelof and Maguire and Shaw, they'd play bad, but they'd still play the next week. There was favouritism there. So he's not wrong in what he's saying, but it's not true now. So maybe people are getting frustrated with Bailly because some people can't adapt their mind to look back 6 months. They have to live in the now. And if your mind lives in the now, what Eric Bailly is saying is completely wrong because Harry Maguire's on the bench, Luke Shaw's on the bench, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's on the bench, and they're all English and they've been dropped. But under Ollie, those 3 players played all the time. And you wouldn't have this situation that Ten Hag's created. So Eric Bailly is 100% correct in relation to the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, but he's not correct about the Ten Hag era because Ten Hag has dropped them all and gone with different players. So I think Eric Bailly is completely correct. In his time at United, there was favouritism. We saw it. We used to talk about it. There was favouritism all the bloody time. But thankfully, under Eric Ten Hag, it doesn't exist anymore. It is a new dawn and it is a new start. And so I think Eric Bailly is correct. He's just acknowledging what we all knew. There was favouritism in that club last season and the season before, but there isn't anymore because look at what happened after Brentford. They're all on the bench. He's gone with a new defence and the team has responded to it. And I think it's probably one of Solskjaer's biggest mistakes, actually, is that he stayed loyal to players that weren't performing well and ultimately he lost his job because of it. Eric Ten Hag has dropped players that didn't perform well. He's given chances to other players. They've responded well to that. He's bought Casemiro, but he's kept McTominay in. He's responded well to that. Casemiro will respond well to that. This is how a football team should be run. And ultimately, the thing about Manchester United that really matters is this. We now have a manager who is not stuck in the office playing Football Manager. He's out on the pitch training and coaching. He's seeing firsthand what's going on. Training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He sees what people are doing in training. He sees what the atmosphere is like. And he's treating the team like a football club and not like a bunch of social media footballers or people who cost a certain amount of money or people who are, I don't know what was going on at United, but it seemed to be a jobs for the boys right the way through it. Jobs for the boys. Favourites get picked. It was like a bloody pub team more than and we played like a pub team as well. We've now got a football club. A bit like what Pep Guardiola's got, where if you're playing well, you're in the team and you keep your shirt, but there will be rotation. So, look, Eric Bailly is part of the past, and the past wasn't good. There was favouritism in the club. He was right. I agreed with everything that he said yesterday, more or less, but that doesn't happen anymore under this manager, because this manager has proven in the last few games that he doesn't do what the previous manager does. So, I think the Eric Bailly thing, he's right. It did happen. He was, treated badly. But we've got a new manager now, we've got a new positivity now, and we don't really need to drift back into the past because hopefully we've learned from the past. Carragher's comments were disgusting and hilarious that he thinks Harry Maguire is better than Bailly. I mean, I don't necessarily think that Harry Maguire is not better than Eric Bailly. I've always said there's a debate there, which is why he should have got more game time. Keith says Mark Bay talks about Ten Hag at the end of the quote. Yeah, he said that he'd had a chat with Eric Ten Hag, who'd said that he wanted him to stay because he was going to give everybody minutes. I think ultimately Eric Ten Hag just decided that Eric Bay could go, didn't he? And that's Eric Ten Hag can't be attached to what happened to Bay in years before. And I think it was time for Eric to go anyway. I think this set of players need a hands-on manager, says Emily, 100%. And Mark, if you read the full comments, he was not talking about Eric Ten Hag. He even said Eric Ten Hag kept promise of giving him more game time. It says SK. Oh, I know. I don't know. I don't know what anybody is grasping from the Bay thing that I've just said. That 100%. I've never said that. Eric Bay was not talking about Eric Ten Hag. I've clarified that about 4 or 5 times in the last 5 minutes. He's talking about the past. He's talking about what happened to him in the past. The favouritism in the past. It's not talking about Eric Ten Hag because Eric Ten Hag has dropped all those players. Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Maguire, Lindelof got picked a lot by Solskjaer. It didn't matter whether you were Delot, Tellez, Bailly, whatever other centre-backs we've had, he wouldn't change it. Solskjaer was full of favouritism. Bruno would play every week. Rashford would play every week. It was the same team every week, more or less. Bay would come in, play well, get dropped again. That's what Bay is talking about. That's what he's talking about. Last year, the year before that, we had a lot of favouritism, but not under Ten Hag. It's a new team under Ten Hag, 100%, absolutely 100%. Look, we've got the press conference reaction. It's quite an early one. I think it's at 12:30. So Ten Hag will be talking to the media at 12:30. We're actually in the press conference, so we might be able to get a question to him. So make sure you're watching the press conference reaction at 12:30. If you're interested, I'm going to be live in about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to do a reaction to Thomas Tuchel sacking. He has been sacked. He has left Chelsea. And I'm going to do a quick reaction to it live on That's Football. So if you want to get over there, I'll see you over there in a couple of minutes' time. But we'll be back on here for the press conference at about 12:30. I'll speak to you then. And I'm going to be on That's Football in a minute. Thanks for watching.